Red Corner Boxing. We're in the game.
Good evening, everybody. Sorry about that. Mike was muted. Red Corner Boxing here is Mr. Neutral. And for another one of his hard talk debates. But before we get started, me and Brett, the boxing man, we are proudly sponsored by EasyStories.com and, of course, Boxing Fight Zone for all your boxing merchandise and apparel. All the links are in the bio. Please check them out. Right, Brett, we're here for a much-needed debate. You know, because over the past few weeks, months, etc., it's certainly been depressing me, and boxing in general. I went into a bit of a lull, as you well know, because I messaged you and said, "Look, I'm in a mental block here. You know, I don't know what I'm doing." It's such as how boxing has changed over the decade, especially a man of my age, Brett, you know. But let's start by saying what this program is about. This program is why the hate in boxing. Why do fans these days on social media? And before I bring Brett in, you know, and he'll give us a rundown on just what he thinks on that, is we're seeing this growing trend of online print, if you like, abuse, hatred. People are more brazen now than, when obviously social media first started. But, you'll see a picture of Anthony Joshua in our thumbnail. Now, it's not about Anthony Joshua. He just happens to be the latest in the, in the long list of boxers that have been abused and online or in the newspapers or by fans at events for many, many decades. We'll go over how it's all evolved since, the conception of boxing. But, Brett, before I come to you, let's give the fans an outlay of this show. We're going to go into the different varieties of hate. We're going to go into the different, methods that are used to drive hate, to finance it, and all the rest of it, and give the fans a clear picture. Because, Brett, this has been coming a long time, hasn't it, mate? We've been talking about this for a while. And he said, right, you said to me, let's get us on a show, let's do it. And the time is right. So we're here now, the fan culture, what do you make of it now?
Look, I tell you, yeah, of course, it's highlighted that the incident with AJ recently and some of the ridiculous comments that are online. But this is, like you said, it's been stemming a while now into the point of going back, with Shakur Stevenson, with Devin Haney, with, obviously there's reasons to dislike Tank right now, but even before all of that, there's always this kind of nature where people get extremely personal about certain situations and certain people. I've got no problem with hating on boxers for their talent, or with hating on boxers if they do something out there and you have a little comment on it and say that. But when it gets super, super, super personal, at the end of the day, these are fighters and they're fighters for our entertainment. And yes, some of them are, that famous quote that Kevin Hart says about, do you think Michael Jordan reads YouTube comments? And that's no disrespect to what you guys are doing. But what I'm saying is somebody out there with that level of stature, they have to be mentally strong to not read what's out there, because we are living in a world now where somebody can create an account with no followers and put on the most outlandish things about somebody. And it's just been highlighted recently. Yes, I am a supporter of AJ's, but I'm a supporter of boxing. I have my opinion on certain boxers, but go check my history. Yeah, there's a bit of tongue-in-cheek, there's a bit of banter about certain fighters, but never to the point where I've ever attacked anybody personally, and I just don't understand it.
Do you think people have lost sight of the definition of critique versus hate, for instance? when I critique a boxer, it's not. I don't critique because maybe I don't like the fella on a personal level because he may be an arsehole outside the ring.
That's okay. But that's okay.
That's okay, isn't it? This is when we criticize a boxer's skill set or his strategy. That's critique.
Yeah.
That's not hate. But I certainly feel amongst the younger generation these days that they've redefined critique and use it against you, certainly online, and say you're a hater.
Mm-hmm.
You know, because the word hate and hater is a new phenomenon for me in boxing. You know, that sort of word that never was around maybe the 80s and 90s. Maybe I'm wrong, but certainly this side of the pond.
You're not wrong. Sorry to cut you off, but think about it.
Yeah.
Who liked Nazim when he was doing it? Who liked Floyd Mayweather when he was doing it? Really, right? There was a lot of hate for those boxers at the time. A lot of hate for those boxers. Of course, Prince Nazim had his troubles, and so has Floyd has had his troubles outside of the ring, and they've all got these things. But at the end of the day, if we're to solely allow to judge on boxing, we're talking about unbelievable fighters with unbelievable resumes that have given us many nights of enjoyment. Don't get me wrong. Like I said, you find out a boxer has done X, Y, and Z out of the ring, we'll probably have a chat about it. We'll probably have a show about it, right? And we probably will. But you won't find us wishing the worst thing imaginable on any fighter.
Yeah.
On any fighter. And that's what we've seen recently. I mean, it's just to the point it's getting ridiculous right now. And the reason why I'm a little bit pissed off, if you like, is because it's credible people now, right? You know, I get it with the burner accounts where people can hide behind it and say the most outlandish, disgusting, racist things or about somebody's personal background or whatever. I get it. You know, they're all scum and they can do what they want and we can't trace them and blah, blah, blah. But now when we're talking about genuine accounts that are putting absolutely disgusting things out there, this is one of them. That's one of them. That one there. That's one of them. And that's
keep that up, Jones.
That's got a whole following behind it, right?
Yeah.
That's got a whole.
Let's just look at that. Britain is broken is the account. And their logo on their profile pic is "I want my country back." So therefore, that's your good old-fashioned British racist who's nationalistic, who wants no person of skin or culture other than their own to be identified as British. And they'll use anything. Now look at this. What does Britain is Broken say? I don't know how many followers they got, but I would imagine...
It's 56,000.
56,000 idiots follow Britain is Broken. Fuck Auntie Josh, it says. From telling people not to use white businesses, that was not true. He didn't say it like that during BLM. To flying Nigerian flags when he claims to be British. If that, he got folded by a fat Mexican dad of 8 when he was a heavyweight champion, clown face. Now, he singled out there Auntie Joshua on a number of issues there, from nationalistic ideals about business to flags to, being a pretender. Now, the boy was born in Watford,
But listen, I've got no problem.
I just don't understand, I just don't understand. They're trying to use multiple issues to bring a man down and then make out that he's a clown when this account has probably done nothing in their lives but gain 56,000 idiots to follow them. But the sad thing is on social media is the fact that there's no punishment for this kind of abuse. And that's outright abuse. No problem in my eyes.
There's no problem with being patriotic about where you're from, right? Let's be honest about that right now. There's no problem in my eyes about being proud of the flag that you're from. I live in a country in Canada where there's a flag on every corner, right? And they love their country. That's not seen as racism. It's seen as patriotic, right? And so I've got no problem with any of these platforms even asking the question, saying, listen, in the right way, saying, what's that all about? Him showing that Nigerian flag when he's supposed to be British? Like, what? On the biggest platform ever, why wasn't he showing his British flag? If they say it a different way, because then the educated people can talk about his heritage and that if he's from Nigerian descent as well as being British, right? So of course he's going to show. Of course he's going to show things. But no, that's an easy angle to turn around and say he's turned his back on this country. Well, let me tell you now, this country, majority of the country, has turned their back on him. And you're right. I don't really want to get into that speech because I've had so many arguments about it. Of course, it wasn't very well said. He was reading from a sheet, and it wasn't very well said what he said. And I don't actually think he meant it the way that he said it. But at the same time, people are going to twist it.
He was trying to promote black-owned businesses in London, and in the country, locally primarily. Look, context is everything, but people. But that was just a small, innocuous attack. Opening up with that, trying to single out Anthony Joshua as a racist, coming from a racist profile on X doesn't make sense. I'm pretty sure that many, good-minded people would just hopefully just look at that and scroll on by. It's unfortunate there's people that they know on X that actually post that stuff to attack Anthony Joshua. But we'll come back to Anthony Joshua a bit later. We'll end the show on what's been happening with him. But if we look at hate let's look at his definition. It's a severe dislike of a person or a group or an entity. So, if we start from that basis, if we're talking in why the hate in boxing, well, hate in boxing started off basically with the color of your skin, where you're from, and how you spoke. If you spoke differently, or you looked differently, or you come from a different country than your opponent, this hatred first and foremost straight away. The guy hasn't even breathed any oxygen in that country, and he's already a hated man. Whether and I'm going back to the days when boxing was just coming into being, let's say, commercialized in the 1920s. Once he sorted out titles and stuff. And then the corruption starts. And when the corruption starts, the hate gets fuel driven. They need to sell tickets. The finances in boxing starts to seep down into the fans because the promoters used, and still do to a certain degree, instigate the hate. The managers, the trainers, the friends, the families. But it wasn't in, an insidious way. It was done to promote their own guy. You say, yeah, come on, let's beat this guy. He's a nobody or whatever. He's only from the UK or he's only from Japan. You're gonna beat this guy. But what they're doing is incitement. Whether it's incitement for good purposes, you'll get other people who feed off that and make it into a negative. Hence that post that you had up there before, Jams. Now, as we move through into through the decades, going to the 50s, the 60s, and then and the hate then gets, only comes in newspapers and TVs and movies. And then it starts to become a trickle. The trickle starts to become a downpour, and especially when social issues become involved. If we take it to fact, Joe Louis, who served in the army and was hated in the army and that because of his race. Then you had Muhammad Ali. He didn't want to serve in Vietnam. He was vilified and hated for one reason or another. And there's been other examples of boxers being hated for one reason or another. But all that was confined, in a sense, to your mainstream media. The hatred, the vilification, all that was in the pubs. It was in the streets. It was on people who were comfortable in their groups, who they could express these hateful opinions, without any comeback. that's no longer the issue in 2025, because the evolution of hatred has gone through with technology, and from the media to the print newspapers to to social media, and now you've got Red Corner Boxing as boxing YouTube media, and we're here talking about this kind of hatred, where I've seen it evolve in the last 20 years, Brett, from the days of Mike Tyson. If we go from there, we've heard about all the hate before, but if we go from the hate of Mike Tyson, look what happened to him. He got imprisoned for sexual crimes. He spent 3 years in prison. He comes out a hated man. There's nothing he can do that's going to change public perception. And I was around in the pubs and clubs when we heard all that vilification, and you're like, okay, a bit harsh. Back in them days, nobody ever really knew what the evidence was like against Tyson. There's a lot of people saying he wasn't guilty. There's a lot of people saying he was guilty. You couldn't decide. There wasn't that transparency that you see today. But the hate has evolved. Now, you've heard enough. That's me ranted on for a while, Brett.
Yeah.
You've heard me. What is your take on everything I've said?
Well, look, I mean, you can look at it in lots of different ways as well, because these are gladiators that get punched in the face for a living, right? And when they're given any time to their own devices, it seems like a lot of them, trouble happens. You think of all the top fighters, it's very rare that they haven't got themselves into trouble. So, I put a post out there saying, Joshua will go down as didn't say a world, Joshua will go down as a British great for what he's brought. And I got hit with, you're talking out your ass. And then they start throwing the names at me. Ricky Hatton and Carl Froch, every one of them has got an Achilles heel. God bless Ricky's soul. Look what happened to him. At the end of the day, he couldn't fight the demons that he was going through, and they've got demons, and they're not perfect. Anthony Joshua, really, what we're really vilifying him for is a slip of the tongue, right? A slip of the tongue and an ill-advised. What else has he done out there in the world other than lose a couple of fights? What else has he done to deserve this? For I know we weren't going to go straight in, but I'm saying it as it is. When his two friends are lying on a road in Nigeria, and you're getting comments such as "good, he's a bully." What is wrong with society? What is wrong with society? It's absolute. I mean, that comment was an absolute disgrace. And I tell you now, Jams, they'll be on notice because they've got Academics TV. They've got a bit of money behind them. They'll be on notice. Joshua's people will have hold of that. And
Anthony Joshua's killed 2 others in a car crash. That's defamation for fact. So, they're looking to get sued there. Anthony Joshua reportedly sustained injuries following a road collision that claimed the lives of 2 individuals. Well, that was said. It's a sensationalism. This is a different kind of hate now. We're getting to see the different kind of hates in these posts. Jams, if you can roll up a few more, and I'll tell you the reasons why we see this different kind of hate. And you're going to get this hatred from all the different branches of hatred. So if you got hate at the top of the league, top of the tree, and you got all the branches that are coming on differently underneath them, and you'll start to see you'll separate them. British Bastard says, a dickhead came out with a Nigerian fan. Well, there's an insult. Dickhead straight away. Separating Nigeria. If he was Nigerian, he wouldn't have got anywhere in the sport of boxing. He could have been working in a diamond mine. He's a traitor scumbag, and we, he says, don't give a fuck about him. He's got 1,600 views with just 52 likes. So that's what, not point 5% of the population agreed with that statement. Again, clickbait, rage bait. These are the types of hatred that you're going to get. So you get another racist. He's not British. He's Nigerian. Dave, he was born in fucking Watford, you absolute melt. Wall of shame. Dave at MUFC on X, you are a melt. Born in Britain. He's a racist, deports as angry Anglo-Saxon. We started to get, I mean, look at the picture of who he's got here. Yeah, on you go, mate.
Right, listen, mate. Let's target this as well. Do we also think we're in a world of people aren't that smart when it comes to certain things, right? And so what we've got now is, because of the platform like an X, we've got certain people following certain narratives. So everybody labels Joshua racist because they heard about this speech, and then they've probably seen a clip on it, and then everybody else. So that's what he is now. So nobody does their research. Nobody looks into the charitable work he does. Nobody does all that type of stuff, right? He's just this, and that, and the other. And so a lot of these comments stem from he's not British, you clown. He's Nigerian. What I got on one of my posts, right?
Yeah.
It's because they follow a narrative, mate, and it's very difficult to do. We're all the same. We get up in the morning. First thing we do, we put the coffee machine on. We start scrolling through Twitter. What's going on in our world? Because we're generally interested in what's going on in the boxing world. And we might, such and such has failed a drug test. And then all of a sudden we're like, oh, he's failed a drug test. Da, da, da. And it might, and then you know, comes back a little bit later. No, that's not true, or whatever. That's probably bad an example. But you know what I mean? It's like, this comes out and we're all jumping on something. We're all straight away to jump on something. So a lot of legion of these fans have come out with all this hate when wind your necks in and stop a second. And if ever you've been through tragedy in your life and you've ever actually watched anybody die in front of your eyes, you wouldn't be talking this way, because it's the most disgusting and vile thing you can do. It's hit a man when he is as low as that. And at the end of the day, it's a sport. At the end of the day, it's boxing. He has to close them doors. He has to think about those images, and people need to start thinking about that. And okay, the trolls are always going to be trolls with their accounts. I'm coming after you ones that know a bit about something and that you've actually got reputable accounts. Think about what you're putting out there, because your 10,000 people that follow you will probably take on that opinion. And if it isn't right, it's down to you, the reason that we're having to put up with this type of abuse. And we want to uplift fighters, not put them down.
Brilliantly said. And that brings me beautifully on to my next point. And that is sorry, James, we'll get to that. Look, Mac Dazzle. He's British when it suits his pockets. He's Nigerian. I hope he goes and lives there, whatever he said. I didn't want to finish the rest anyway. But the thing is, though, you know, let's look at actually the people that's saying this. We had angry Anglo-Saxon, British bastard, Dave at MUFC. These are not boxing accounts. These are casual accounts, okay? Now, the casual accounts are very much hated by the hardcore boxing accounts like ourselves, because it's that kind of casual mentality that they think they can bring their personal political views, poison into boxing by using a tragedy like what happened with Anthony Joshua to bolster or reinforce their sick beliefs. You know, so if we look at what that looks like, you know, racism, nationalism was what you see there. They keep saying Nigerian, and class-based. When they're saying he should be lucky he's not working in a diamond mine. So you get the class hatred. These are the fans. They're not boxing fans. Now, when you mentioned that reputable boxing accounts are fueling these kind of accounts to, you know, make comments off a repost, you're quite right. The guy with 10,000 followers will influence a guy with 100,000 followers. And so the pyramid starts of hatred for that. That wouldn't have happened 20, 30 years ago before social media. That kind of power from an individual could not have happened. And this is why I say it's so important now that people should be held account for what they see. People like them on that we've showed there, and there's many, many more, need to be held accountable because of their sheer influence that they have on social media in a pyramid scheme of hate.
And we don't
Now,
look, the
yeah,
likes of me and you, like obviously we're close away from this as well. But I don't very often see you kick off with idiot accounts either. Like I just ignore the comments. I can't even. But like
yeah,
I've only lost my cool with a couple of comments that I've received, and it was just more a case of that one where the guy said, "Good, he's a bully," and like it
yeah.
literally 20 minutes after it had happened, and so I kind of outed him a little bit. Yeah, look at that. I mean, just ridiculous. It should have been AJ. And I ignore a lot of things, but this one got me. You know, I know you've been going for a bit of a tough time with it as well, but over the Christmas period after this had happened, I was like, I don't know, like, oh yeah, you can come at me going, whoa, yeah, you're talking shit because you're on a podcast now talking about it. I was just gonna say, you know what, lads, I might step away for a little bit because
That's how I felt.
yeah, because I'm a human being and it don't sit right with me because maybe I am fueling it. If I put a post up about Anthony Joshua's just been in a car accident where he lost two of his friends, and then 30% of those comments are hateful towards him, I've kind of fueled that. And I was more saying like, oh, look at this. This is shocking. Hope he's okay. And like, you know, and then I put a post out saying there'll never be ring entrances like this again. It's just hate. And it's just,
Yeah.
at the end of the day, look, we this chat that we're having right now, we're not gonna change it. We're not gonna change it, unfortunately.
No, it's only going to get worse.
All what I hope we're doing is the sane ones out there, the ones that we connect with on a day-to-day basis, the ones that follow us and the ones that engage in great chats. And we don't always agree. But hopefully those ones can kind of understand that maybe we all should start thinking a little bit before we start tweeting something. Maybe we should all start thinking a little bit, whether, you know, and the people who come after me and they have done. One of the comments was, oh, you're such a hypocrite talking about hate when you hate on Tyson Fury. Again, go back and look at my tweets with Tyson Fury. It's tongue in cheek a lot of the times. I think there's times where he's been full of shit and he's manipulated the public's opinion, but it's never, ever. And I've got.
Have you ever wished death on him?
But I've got loads of derogatory things that I can say about him. But I never.
Yeah, but have you ever wished death on him? Like these people have been wishing death on Anthony Joshua.
And I listen, and I always say this about Tyson Fury: I want nothing but the best for him. Like if they were to ever fight and he was the winning fighter, I'd stand up and give him a round of applause and I'd take all the abuse from everybody and say, yeah, fair play, lads. I got it wrong. You got it right. But that's what boxing should be. It should be about opinions, not 20 minutes after. 20 minutes after the whole of the world is finding out that Anthony Joshua was in a fatal car accident where he could have lost his life and his two best friends have lost their life. Yet the hate's coming in. I mean, look, it is what it is, isn't it? I mean, it just wouldn't, like I say, we're not going to change it, but I've just been really, really, really pissed off and depressed about it. That whatever we say, it's not going to change people's opinions because a lot of these people have got followings. Those followings are waiting for them to say something outlandish.
It's funny you say that because you know it will snowball. In fact, unless there is there is accountability for these keyboard warriors, as Neutral Junior says there. Welcome, mate. Love the name. Now, you know, talking of, you know, different sections of fans, you get fans who are living through the box of successes and failures with their online content, you know, or critique as they see it, you know, and it's that projection of identity, isn't it? That failure of not being able to do something like these boxers do themselves. They project that sense of failure within themselves onto the targets. Is that a fair assumption?
Yeah, completely. Yeah, I mean, and the problem is with this app of if you go 10 toes down on a fighter, like you man Josh Taylor. I know people didn't come for you, but like that was your boy, right? You
Yeah.
wanted to get behind him, and he's given you some amazing nights. What a fighter! What a fighter!
Yeah.
But the moment that
He
Echo
lost.
went after him a little bit, it was not a nice place for you to sit. But at the end of the day, you didn't sit there shouting robbery and screaming and and just like the whole. It's the fight game. It's the fight game.
Yeah.
So if a fighter that you respect loses, then you should have the ability, like a football game. If you play Man City, you got two fan bases that hate each other. If Man City win 3-0 and absolutely outclass them, Man United fans have to just go up. We won our day today, and
Yeah.
it don't work like that. It does with a lot of us, but it don't work like that in our community.
No, it certainly doesn't. Many occasions that there's been boxers who have been absolutely vilified for stuff that's just absolutely ridiculous.
Can I go
Ridiculous for.
controversial? Can I go
Go on.
controversial?
Exactly. I
Again,
want you to.
come and hit me with this because I'm fine with it because I know what people are going to say and I won't condone what the ideology around it is. But have we ever seen a fighter like Conor Benn get vilified so much for failing a drugs test? Have we ever seen one fighter that's been vilified like that? Right?
Never.
Regardless of what you say about why you don't like him, whatever, he failed 2 drug tests, he's a drugs cheat. That's your opinion. That's your opinion. But then there's seemingly other fighters that have failed drugs tests that we've gone off into a night and forgot all about it, and then they're the poster, and we love them, and it's okay.
Faces of boxing.
But think about this, and I'm not saying I've always backed Conor Benn. I personally think I don't think he knew what he was doing, but again, I can get hammered for that, and I'm okay for that. Hammer me for that because maybe I don't have enough facts, and you've got more facts than me, so no problem. That's just my opinion. I don't condone drug cheats, but I've never ever seen anybody that's been as vilified as him, and the hatred towards him versus other fighters is incredible.
Yeah, and talking of this hatred, you mentioned Josh Taylor. That was that was nationalistic hate there because it's England, Scotland, and they had an Englishman fighting in Scotland. To try and in many people's eyes, he won the fight. In my eyes, Jack Harrell did win the fight. I thought he just nicked it. Yeah. However, Josh Taylor got the result. But the hatred that come after
crazy.
Josh Taylor was unreal. And like you mentioned there, Conor Benn's failed a drug test. Big whoopee do. Because if that was over the pond, nobody'd be talking about it 3 or 4 weeks later. But today, it's still a very, very sore talking point amongst certain sections of fans. I don't understand it. That was 3 years ago, that failure. And yet he's still labelled a drug cheat today after fighting 4 or 5 fights.
Four or five times he's been clean. He's lost one of them, and fairly that was right. He lost one of the fights, and everyone said, "Oh, he had no step in his puppy." It's because he's not on the juice anymore.
Yeah, he's fighting a middleweight.
all this type of stuff, right? And at the end of the day, like Jam says, Jam's got an opinion on Conor Benn, and it's no problem. There's no problem.
Yeah.
Right?
What's he put there?
Maybe I'm wrong, but all I'm saying is the accountability of certain fighters. And do you know what it comes down to? It comes down to narratives, and that's what I said to you earlier. So there's been this big social media narrative about Conor Benn. There's been this big social media, and everyone's gone cheat. When there's been others that are heroes because they lost to 10 stone in weight or whatever, right?
Yeah.
There's been other ones that's just been like, oh yeah, no worry about that. Or one of the faces of boxing, I won't go into it. One of the faces of boxing, oh, don't worry about that. One of the faces of women's boxing in the States, that was just she went and celebrated on a yacht for 6 months and then came back and it was all forgotten. But the hatred towards that particular person is not the same hatred that other people are getting. And there you go.
Exactly. Do you think that's a British thing though? Because in other parts of the world, they don't do that. It's very much a British thing. I've noticed that. And coming back to these reputable accounts, I have seen anti-British hate in boxing, and I see it a lot as political as well. Now that's a double whammy in itself. Not only are they hating on, it's Brit on Brit hate. It's really disturbing that I'm seeing on this timeline. The veracity, the voracity of hatred towards the language that's being used, and some of these quotes that we've got there, they absolutely go to town on accounts, on boxes online, and these are coming from British well-known accounts. I won't name names. If you follow them, you'll know who they are. And the veracity of the hatred that they show with their 26,000 followers, with their 101,000 followers. There you go. They're starting to create their own narrative of hate, pyramiding from their comments, and they're followed by influential people as well. So therefore, you're starting a whole new platform of hate.
Well, this comment that we've got here right now, this
yeah,
for me,
let's see that. The excuse hate.
I got a lot of interaction because I retweeted this and said that this is because this guy, I think he's got 12,000 followers. He is very anti-Joshua, but a lot of the time it's tongue in cheek, and that's okay because there's a bit of banter going up. But this was absolutely outrageous, and he got hammered for this. To be honest, there was a lot of support for AJ with this comment.
The excuse to duck Fury again is just fell into Eddie Hunt's lap. What you have to understand is kooks. Who calls someone fucking kooks? It's outrageous because this guy, again, has got a social media following. He's probably got an income from it, and he wants to enhance it.
Yeah. He's putting
dear.
That particular account's putting something outrageous on every day, to be fair, mate.
Yeah.
And he's getting a lot of traction. His algorithm is definitely going towards anti-Joshua hate. But that's what I'm saying. This is a guy with 11,000 followers or whatever he's got. It's not one of these. It's not one of these burn accounts that's got 2 followers that's saying ridiculous stuff. It's actually somebody that people follow and people look up to.
I know.
And anyway, but
an excuse has just fallen into Eddie Hunt's lap to duck Fury. As if Fury's anyone to be ducked, for God's sake. It's not like he's a killer. He's not even a killer, Fury.
But it's not even that. It's not even that. Maybe Fury beats AJ. Maybe AJ's got nothing left at the top table. Whatever. It's boxing. But I'm telling you right now, as a lover of fighting and a lover of boxing, I don't care if I see Anthony Joshua in the ring again. As long as he can come bounce back as a human being from what he's just witnessed.
Exactly. Mike Stone on the Wall of Shame says, if he was half as good as you say he was, then he should get his props. But he's carefully guided through his career with the perfect matchmaking and zero risk. And he got found out by Maya Fat Mexican. The only ones who paid to watch this Frank Bruno cut out a weak ass fanboys.
Yeah, that was on my.
Frank Bruno cutouts, right? Okay then. So Mike Stone is another one. He's got pictures of crosses, making out that he's a godly man, talking in that manner. And this is what I get when I see fans. See, when you come out with you casuals coming out with your shit, you just. You just give your masks just slip. You really do. You get identified. And believe you me, the police, the boxing hatred police, which Mr. Neutral will start as to name and shame on X these accounts. I will. I'll do it. I don't give a monkey's rat's ass for who you are, how big you are. Don't give it. Come and see me.
Yeah.
Don't give a monkey's who anybody is. I will expose you for race hating, rage baiting, hatred of boxers for no. I'll absolutely muller you on X because we don't need it. We need happy, lively debate. Now,
Did
social
any of us?
media is just
Can I
a
just ask you-
garden. They've planted seeds, these different branches of hate. On you go, mate.
I was just going to say, like, and I don't want to make this about, because there's a lot of good Tyson Fury fans out there, but I want to ask this: like, when he went lower than low and he put all that weight on, nobody. Well, maybe you can come back and give me the history, but nobody was really. People were concerned for him. It was a concern. It was like, and then in the end, actually, what people said was it's the media that's pushed him to this, because the media turned their back on him after he did all that amazing thing and you know, it was the media that turned their back on him, so he went into a deep state of depression. Well, there was nobody then. All of the boxing community were buzzing to see him when he came back. All of the boxing community, right?
For the
It's only
box?
Yeah, it's only since that we've, you know, what he did against Wilder in the first fight, even just like everything he did, everyone was behind him. The negativity comes from the things that the non-signing of contracts, I've donated all my purse, all the, and so that's where there's just a bit of friendly rivalry between fans. But are you seeing Anthony Joshua stalwart fans turning around and saying to Tyson Fury fans that they'd love to see him X, Y, and Z? It's just, it's outrageous. It's outrageous.
No, it's the race baiters, mate. Hiding amongst boxing fans. That's what they're doing. These nationalistic race baiters hide behind the mask of boxing fans because as I said before, they let themselves down because the first thing out of their mouths is Nigerian, dickhead, and all the rest of it. They've just betrayed themselves straight away. Rather than say, I don't agree with this man, and try and put it into a constructive argument, which, to be quite frankly, you'd be very, very, clever if you could try and justify that sort of rhetoric in the first place. The guy,
there's no argument.
They
There's
don't know. The guy
It's
represented the UK, the Great Britain at the Olympics in 2012. For fuck's sake, what are we talking about here?
No, this is the thing. There's no
because his grandparents were Nigerian. Is that it? Listen, it's the same. Sorry, mate. I will get to you. That is like me, right? Going down to England and raising a Scottish flag. And as a British boxer, raising a Scottish flag, and people saying that, oh, I'm a traitor to Britain, or to the Union, just because his grandparents were from Nigeria, all of a sudden he's Nigerian when he's got, he 3 generations of his family have been here. Absolute nonsense.
Yeah, but when it goes further down the line, this is the other thing. This is how crazy this world is. I say at the time it was different, but now it's not. So Naz used to walk in there with a Yemeni flag, right? And Naz used to walk in there with a Yemeni flag.
Yeah. No one batted an eyelid.
No, but and maybe they did that, mate. Maybe they did that.
Oh, they did in the pubs and clubs, but it wasn't put on print. There wasn't out there for people, millions of people to read.
Yeah, but now nobody.
Excuse me, I'll be right back.
Why you gone? No one's now talking about that. No one's talking about why was Naz allowed to get away with coming in with a Yemeni flag? But it is what it is, I suppose. Jams, have we got any comments that we want to pull back up?
Sorry, mate.
It's back.
Noisy room.
Don't know worries, mate. I was just saying that no one's talking about that Yemeni flag now. Everyone just refers to Naz as being British.
Exactly.
And so, yeah. Here we go. Look at this one for a comment.
Let's go. Let's just wait for a comment. He's British when it suits his pockets. Oh, for goodness sake. He's Nigerian. No, wrong. Mac Dazzle. He's Nigerian. I hope he goes and lives in the shithole for the rest of his days. Imagine taking your pals on holiday to that fucking dump. 1 week and his 2 mates are dead. What a fucking idiot. Most Nigerians can't wait to. I mean, again, I come back to your racist, nationalistic Mac Dazzle. Again, hiding behind a blank. It's a burner account for somebody. And this is what we have to put up with, I'm afraid. But do you put up with it? or you call them out. And I think we should call them out, and I'll certainly be doing that on X. There's just no need for it. If you've got, and that way, what I'll do is I'll separate the hardcore from the casuals, and then the casuals can just be, to tell you what, just ignore that, piece of shit, because that's what they have. They have to be ignored. Now, do we as YouTubers make the hate worse? That's a question that's just been asked.
It's a good question though, isn't it? It is because it's similar to what I just turned around and said. If you've got a good following and you've got a group that really listen to you and appreciate you, very often we form our opinions on people that we listen and talk to, right? So, say Eddie talks about a fight. If you like Eddie and Eddie talks about a fight and about contracts breaking down, you say, oh, it's because of them. Without hearing the other side of the story, you'll be like, no, Eddie said that Tyson didn't sign the contract, before listen, because Eddie's your guy. So I think depending on what type of YouTube account you are or X account you are, you can sway a following. Hence that 56,000 following X account. They can sway a following because it's the type of person that they're talking to. I believe with what Red Corner Boxing are doing, you are open to debate. Even then, look, I said about Conor Benn, Jams, one of the owners of the channel, I think he's a cheat. I don't think he's a cheat. And that's okay, Jams. And Jams has got backing up material that says this is why he thinks he's a cheat. I'm going off basically the fact what he's done and how he went about it and whatever. Jams is right, and I've got an opinion, whatever. But at the end of the day, what you've done with this channel is you're not going to allow somebody to come on these comments now and start talking about, fuck him, send him back to Nigeria. You're not going to allow that. But if there was a comment that came in now and said, yeah, but Mr. Neutral and Boxing Man, you got to understand, we as a country love him. And then on his biggest platform, he's gone to the States when 33 million people were watching him. And the flag that he shows is Nigeria. I'm quite hurt by that. And then we have a different conversation. Then we turn around.
That is a proper, decent, and justifiable question. That's media. That's what a good media should do. Now, and it is, and this ties into the last subject of this discussion. We 45 minutes now. We want to get into the last before the hour. And the purpose of this section is the consequences of it all, and this. And let's discuss mental health effects, fighters shutting down media access, early retirements, and fans driving fighters away, not the promoters, with the overriding question, Brett: are the fans killing the fighters they claim to love?
I think, like you said, though, brilliant, and hopefully people that have tuned in have listened to all of the conversations that we've had. You referred to it back when we used to watch it in the pubs, right?
Yeah.
And we'd have it out. We'd have it out right there and then. Any opinions and views, right? Now, and so as a fight fan, you could just have it out, and he'd be like, "No, you're wrong. Well, no, you're wrong." And Now, because I don't think it's fight fans specifically. I think it's the casuals. It's the casuals that are ruining it. Because, like we say, Red Corner Boxing, at any point I've ever been on one of your shows, and even if there's an outlandish comment that's not against discrimination, it's not against anything like that, but there's an outlandish comment, you're willing to discuss it, right?
Of course.
And if it's a boxing fan, in my opinion, is different to a casual. However, there are some boxing fans, but only fans of certain fighters. They're not a fan of the whole boxing world. So you can be, it's like you talk about the Shakur Stevenson. In my opinion, one of the most talented fighters that I've seen. However, I know what, and hammer me now. He's boring, he's this, and he's that, and he's the other, and he's da-da-da-da. And at what point, he reads all the comments. He sees all the things. He knows the boxing world hates him. And I'll say this before you move it on. So with the Anthony Joshua thing right now, If he turns around and says, the last thing I did was break Jake Paul's jaw, and you can have the fucking boxing back and you can have the world back because I'm done with you. Why am I going to put my body on the line for you ever again? Yes, I'm going to get paid royally. Yes, there's royalties for me. But as an entertainer, as a pugilist, as a warrior, why am I going to step back in that ring again? I'll take my millions and I'll sail off into the sunset and I'll go look after my kids and I will live the best life that I can. And you can have it back. If that's what you think of me, you can have it back. And why would he want to come back when he sees stuff like this?
Hence the question. Are the fans killing the fighters they claim to love? These casual fans who drive fighters away from boxing into early retirement, into not wanting to speak to the media, especially YouTube media. Which, you know, we hear Record do boxing do quite well. You know, we don't apply to too many shows, but what we do get is quality interviews, quality content with quality personnel and characters within the boxing world. You can go anywhere, we get top interviews. Now, you know, because we know as fans how to deliver an engaging question or an engaging debate. And there's plenty of other great ones out there, but there's still a lot. A lot of the onus is on us to equalize this hatred, to actually put it in its place, Brett. When the fighters start to shy away from media, and that trickles down to just having a social media manager who runs their social media accounts and they don't talk to nobody. They just talk to the fans on the social media accounts. So media miss out on all the crucial interviews, the talking points, all the questions, because there's dafties on the internet, on X and Instagram, who absolutely annihilate these boxers because they think they can, and that's another thing. They think they can.
Hatred,
now that's a where did they get the goal, Brett?
Yeah, it's not having an opinion on. We said this at the start of the show. Let's be clear with the end of it before we get the comments that saying that there's a narrative here. There's not a narrative here. If you do follow this amazing channel and the interviews that they do, they bring you boxing from all angles. There's even a mental health chat with boxers that goes on. It's not just the fighters and the opinions. It's not a biased place. It's a forum to speak. Because we're speaking tonight very passionate about something does not mean that we're trying to brainwash anybody. We're trying to state cold hard facts. You can have an opinion on a fighter. No problem. You can even get a little bit smack talky about them. The fact that they duck fighters and they do this and they don't pay, and you can tell promoters don't pay their fighters, and you can be ridiculous. You can say all these type of things. But when somebody faces real heartache and heartbreak in their life, and you try and kick them when they're at their lowest ever point,
it's not your place.
That's about you as a person.
Yes.
That's not what real people don't feel that way.
Yes, absolutely. We're closing with reflection, Brett, and you quite rightly says, this is not preaching. We're here to equalize the hate and bring out the good people and say, look, let's look at the human aspect here. Anthony Josh has just lost two of his best friends that he grew up with, who have been in his team. Been part of his life for many, many years, around the same age as him, and both are gone in an instant like that. The shock, the trauma will be apparent, and it'll be around for years, if forever, in his life. And as Brett said, if we never get to see him again, the last thing we'll remember him for is breaking Jake Paul's jaw. Yeah. A bittersweet result? I think not, because nobody had wanted that to happen in the first place. And for people to dehumanize Anthony Joshua and attack him on many fronts, his skin, his nationality, or perceived nationality of something he's said that you people have, misquoted and given the masses an unjust assumption of Anthony Joshua for the hatred and vilification. Fans need to remember fighters are human. Critique skill, as Brett said. Have a banter about certain funny things, that they've done. But when it comes to tragedy and loss, it's not your place to comment, first and foremost, if you're not paying condolences. Don't comment. It's not your place. And if you can't control yourself, then it tells you about what you are. And Brett, the final question to you, mate. Do boxing fans love the sport, or do boxing fans, the casual fans, just love to tear people down?
I'd like to still think that boxing has got a good fan base. I would like to think that way because, a lot of these comments that I'm coming across is not people that I've interacted with before. The couple of posts that I've put out recently, I've had 2.6 million interactions. And I'd say a large part of the negative comments are coming from people that I've never had a discussion with before about boxing. So I would say that anybody that I respect, there are respected accounts that I'm a little bit pissed off with right now, which we won't name. But anybody that I respect in the boxing world that we talk to on a daily, weekly basis, they're all feeling the same way that we do. They're all heartbroken for Anthony Joshua. They're heartbroken for the families that were involved. And we've got nothing but time and praise for the things that Anthony Joshua has done for this sport.
Amen.
His losses are his losses. Was he ever going to be what we wanted him to be in terms of, he was billed as the next Mike Tyson, things like that. All I'll say is this, and I want to end it on Anthony Joshua, and I don't care what they call me, fanboy. Call me what you want. I don't care. I will say this, like you've just said, mate. If I never see him in a ring again, I'm extremely thankful for what he's done. Not just for what he's done for boxing, but for what he's done for lower down fighters. Some of these fighters have been paid handsomely well, right? You look at Dylan White, him becoming a dance partner for Anthony Joshua. He went on to have a career as a pay-per-view star based on that dance he had with Anthony Joshua, right? And you can all say Dylan White was trash, Dylan White was this, Dylan White was the other. Well, there's a multi-millionaire that was built on a legacy fight with Anthony Joshua. And at the end of the day, this guy has built so many people up. And at a time where he needs people to get around him, put an arm around him, you're faced with absolute idiots in this world. And all I will say is this. The real ones are feeling for you right now. The real ones are absolutely feeling for you.
Absolutely. Yeah. Again, some of the comments online. And as you quite rightly said, the casual fans who think they're casual fans, who bring all sorts of issues and ideologies in with them to put a boxer down. We should be encouraging the boxers, showing love, not hate, not abuse. Doesn't make you big, showing abuse. Does it make you hard? I hope not. Do you think you're hard? You're not, because in real life, you don't fold. Right? That's every single one of you. If you come face to face with the people that you were talking about in the manner that you do, you'd wet yourselves. Simple as that. So think about what you're saying online, because you're being watched now, and you will be called out on it. However, there's a lot of love for the boxers out there as well. Thankfully, it's that love for boxing that outweighs the bad. We have highlighted some bad ones tonight, and it may look as though that's the majority. No, it's not. It's a minority, thankfully. And these minorities will be, trying to get, clicks off rage bait and race bait and all the rest of it. That's a sad life. However, the purists like the Boxing Man and myself, Mr. Neutral and Jam's Boxing Chat on X, and many, many friends, wonderful friends of the channel. And there's plenty of them that far outweigh the negative aspect of the fans. And there's wonderful fans out there as well. We salute you all and appreciate you all. And thanks for tuning in to Red Corner Boxing here. A hard talk special. Why is there so much hate in boxing? It's only going to get worse, I'm afraid. But once you identify who's doing it, you can start to separate the real ones from the fake, who just want to bring other issues and just tear man down for no reason at all. Brett the Boxing Man, thanks for joining us all the way from Canada here at Red Corner Boxing and the UK. This show was sponsored by EasyStorage.com for all your local and nationwide needs, and of course Boxing Fight Zone for all your boxing apparel merchandise. Please go and check them out in the bios. All the links are there. My name's Mr. Neutral, and watch out for another episode of Hard Talk coming real soon, where I don't give a monkeys. We'll just get to the great nitty-gritty stuff and just get it out there. What needs to be said will be said. And until then, goodbye.
I'm moving.